Yo, what's going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped, back from the OPTC video, and in today's video, we're diving into Treasure Map versus Bonney to Super Evolve your Goggles Luffy. Yes, I actually love this artwork so much. And in today's video, we are basically building teams with none of the new units. We're not using any of the Elders at all. We're not using any of their rare recruits. We're not even using Luffy, Kuma, or the rare recruits from that particular batch as well. We're going in with a no new unit based team. The caveat to that is that we are using one of the Elders for the final boss fights. Now, whenever it comes to the final boss fights, I always recommend trying to find the boosted character because it's just going to make your runs so much faster. However, I do understand that it's not exactly easy to find the boosted character or the character they want you to bring for this content, but it is a Super Sugo banner. Everyone is summoning for the Elders. Like, finding a boar and finding a bird really should not be that difficult. And if it is that difficult, don't stress. I might put out a short, or I might put out another video where we don't actually bring them as a friend captain. We just try and bring something else. But as you can see, Luffy's getting his 5+. There is also going to be new items added to the Rainbow Gem chest. There was something else. What am I missing here? The Linlin Skulls. The Linlin Skulls are being added to the Treasure Bazaar, so if you missed out on 5+ Linlin, then you can definitely go pick her up as well. And as you can see down here, this is all the boosted characters. So like I said, we want to use the boar for the intrusion, and we want to use the bird for the final boss. But like I said, today we're not including them on our teams. We're not including Tossa, we're not including Guillotine. We are using Kizaru and Luffy quite heavily because they are 1.4 times boosters. So make sure you have these two characters ready to go. And then these other Elders and all of these characters right here that are basically summonable. We're not using Frankie, we're not even using Brook. We're basically not using any of these characters except for Nami and Usopp, so look forward to that if you guys are struggling there. We're not using any of these characters here, no Garlings and nothing like that, but then we have the recommended endpoint boosted list down below. So with that said, let's scroll back up here. Let's take a look at the mini boss teams to start with. And to start it off, we have the PX, or Pacifista MK, was it 3? Yeah, Pacifista MK3. So this particular fight's pretty straightforward. Everyone gets the good stuff. Hound's the recommended character, but we're not including him. Weak to fighters, and then there's a whole bunch of defensive effects like damage reduction and barriers. So whenever it comes to damage reduction and barriers, you guys know the gist. Basically, we just run Carrot, and we can just bypass all of that. Because Carrot gives so many cooldowns to Sengoku, and then obviously everyone gets the good stuff. Sengoku, the mini version, so the unevolved copy, he actually still has the same special. So as long as you have 4 Psy characters on the team, you get a 3.5 times attack and orb boost to one chosen character, which is really, really nice. So basically, we're going to give the 3.5 times attack and orb boost to our Jinbei. He is a fighter character, so he's actually getting like the strong typing. He's going to be our attack booster. He's going to be the orb booster. And then what you can actually do too is you can actually use the support of Akainu on Sengoku as well to get a chain lock. And with that, basically, you can just like tap with one unit and then hit with with what's his name, Jinbei, and basically that'll just kill for the longest time. Once you guys need it, you can start throwing on some supports. Basically, you just want to start looking at like color affinity supports and stuff like that. Brook is going to wave clear turn 1 and turn 2, and like I said, that's pretty straightforward there. As for the Atlas fights, the recommended character is Kizaru, and he's a 1.4 times booster, so we want to use him elsewhere. But if you can fit him on this particular team, he's going to help out a lot. As for the rest of the fight, fighters, slashers, and free spirit characters get all the good stuff. Weak to slashers, and then you're going to attack down if you're below a 2.75 chain lock. Delay immunity, normal attacks only. Intimidation for any chain multiplier boost additions, all of that crazy set chain multiplier, which obviously you're going to need to bypass the 2.75. And then there's 6 turns of resilience. So the team we're using looks a little bit like this. This time we're using the evolved version of Sengoku. Because we have the 4 Psy characters, once again, we're getting a 3.5 times attack and orb boost to one selected character. And with this particular team, we're actually just going to select Kobe. If you don't have Kobe, just replace him with anything, honestly. Like, you don't need to put Kobe here. I've just put him here because he's a 1.25 booster. So it's giving you more drops, giving you more gains, and then obviously he's hitting a lot harder with that extra boost. But at the end of the day, like, you could just give it to Luffy, and like that's still going to be very, very nice. On turn 1, we're going to use the Luffy super type to wave clear. As long as you have like one of the Straw Hats on the team, you can actually get this pretty easily. And he actually does a full like attack, well, does damage to everyone, and then he gives you a full board of orbs, which is going to be really, really handy. Plus the super type means we do more damage on the final stage. So basically he's our orb manipulator and he waves clears. Then for the chain lock, we're using Izokiku. Izokiku can wave clear turn 2 as well. Gives us 3.5 times chain lock for 3 turns, so you carry that into the final stage, and you have to worry about the intimidation and all that crap. To get around the resilience, we have the Enel support on Nami. If you guys don't have this animal support, you can basically just bring someone that removes 6 turns of resilience, or just bring someone that does end of turn damage. Like that's going to work out absolutely fine too. The reason I just have Anil there is just makes it a little bit easier without needing to use a special. Or if you really want to, you could use the Luffy special first, have the Momo support on Luffy, and then use the Sengoku support special after that, or then even replace Sengoku with, like, I don't know, Zoro, for example, and just so that way you get an orb booster as well. But this team should work fairly fine. Shouldn't have too many issues. And again, you can just throw on a color if you need support once you need a little bit more damage. Onto the Sanji fight. The Luffy and Nami Usopp are the recommended characters. Strength, Quick, and Psychic get the good stuff, but these two characters are highly boosted, so we are using them elsewhere. The Luffy definitely, I think we have the Nami and Usopp on this team. Yeah, Nami and Usopp's on this team, but we're definitely using the Luffy on the final fight because it's a 1.4 times boost. Sanji's weak to cerebral characters. He gives you middle row special bind for 15 turns, which is massive. Full body paralysis orbs, top row gets spared, normal attacks only, and then defense down immunity. So the idea here is we're not even going to worry about the special bind. The special bind removal, like, it's only on the middle row, so we don't really care about it too much. We're going to use Zoro to wave clear turn 1, Zoro to wave clear turn 2, but before we wave clear turn 2, we're using the Toki special to apply the Toki ability to our captains. This is going to give them a 3.5 times attack and orb boost, and then it's just going to bypass the despair. If you really want to as well, you can use the Bonney special to get a chain boundary, I believe she gives, and then you have the conditional with Usopp and Nami. I believe Usopp and Nami, they give you a paralysis conditional boost. I think it goes through full immunity. I don't really remember. I think it's if you have 4 or more Straw Hat characters on the crew, so you kind of have to build the team around like that. But you could easily replace Bonney with another Straw Hat, and that's definitely going to be fine. But for now, like, you're not really going to need much else. If you guys forget to use the Toki special as well, don't stress, because I believe the Super Switch removes Despair. Yeah, so the Super Swap's going to remove Despair. So then that way you can just super swap with one of them, and then you'll be able to remove the despair that way. So if you forget Toki, don't stress. Like, you want to try and, get your Toki strats under control, because Toki does make these runs a lot faster. As for the final minibus fight, we're going up against Frankie. Against Frankie, the recommended characters are all of the Navy units that we're not using. Dex, Quick, and Ink get the good stuff, and Frankie's weak to Driven. There's 1 turn of special reverse, stun on your middle row, normal attacks only, defense down immunity. You get paralysis on your top and bottom row. There's a territory, and there is 6 turns of attack down. So a lot of nasty stuff going on here, but the team we're using looks a little bit like this. Now, the idea here to wave clear turn 1 and turn 2 is we are using Vista. Now, Vista's on a 10-turn cooldown with Limit Break Expansion, so make sure you have him Limit Break expanded if you are using this particular build. He goes down to 10 turns. Now, Ace gives 50% cooldowns to Free Spirit shooters and Dex characters, which Vista obviously is not, but with sockets, the cooldowns, and a 2-turn chip, you're already at 9, and then when you enter the first stage, the interrupt that gives the cooldowns actually counts as 1 turn. So that way you have 10 turns. You can use him to clear away at turn 1, use him to wave clear turn 2, and then when you move into the final stage, you're good to go. To bypass the stun, we have Pudding. Realistically though, like, if you don't want to run this and you want to use the Sanji elsewhere, you could just throw like Usopp there, and then just replace Sanji with something else, and literally just not worry about the stun. It's only on the middle row, and like with this team, you should have plenty of damage for a very long time, so I don't really see it being too much of a problem if you guys just don't want to bother about the stun at all. To remove the attack down, we have versus Luffy. To remove the paralysis, we have Ace. Ace gives us a full body orbs and an orb buff. Luffy's giving us chain boundary and a conditional buff, and with that, wham bam, thank you ma'am, you're ready to go, and you can just clear this particular stage pretty simple. You can use the versatility once your damage is going to be a little bit higher, but for now, the 2 specials is going to be plenty of damage. You have Usopp there for a bit more damage later down the line, and I feel like this is probably going to be the best way to get around it, with Ace bypassing special reverse. But you could definitely do some funky stuff with like a Nami support for the 1 turn of cooldown, because you are getting paralyzed, and then just bring another character that just bypasses paralysis as a captain. Like, that's definitely going to work as well. But then with the territory and the attack down and all that fun stuff, I think having versus Luffy is definitely going to be the fastest option, and then Ace is the one that gives him all the cooldowns for that as well, so that way you don't have to worry about all that shenaniganry as well. So yeah, that is that. So then the mini boss fights, as always, I do like to try and go through them as quickly as possible. Like, in terms of the runs. I find that if you're doing more runs, you're getting more points, and it's in turn, you're actually, because you're doing more runs, even though you're doing more runs, you're actually playing less because you're getting through them quicker. So that's just the way I like to play, but at the same time, if you don't want to do wave clearing strats, you can obviously replace them with point boosters. You can obviously replace stuff like Sengoku and Toki with other characters that are just going to give you buffs as well. So there's also that. And as always, these are subject to change. We'll see how they sort of go in the early stages of Treasure Map, and I might change them later down the line for my own teams per se. But moving into the final boss now, this is where stuff gets spicy, because this is where we don't want to be using any of the new stuff. But as I mentioned, we are using a Marcus Mars as a friend captain. The reason we're using him as a friend captain is because he has this ability where he can remove 10 turns of chain multiplier growth rate. And that's essentially the only reason we're using him. So if you want to, if you can find another character that literally just does this top line here, where it's like reduces crew's lock chain and decrease chain multiplier growth, then yeah, just do that and you'll be absolutely fine. But the rest of the fight, it's pretty straightforward. Driven / cerebral get all the good stuff. There's an attack down of 2.5 if you're below 2.5 times chain, 7 turns of the chain lock that I mentioned. Normal attacks only, full immunity, defense up, and then a 3-turn good barrier. Once you move into the final stage, Bonney is weak to driven characters. You get a full water block orbs. You get 8 turns of chain multiply growth rate at 0.1, 3 turns of an attack down if you're below a 2.75 chain, and then 1 turn of special limit use at 2 times. So you can only use 2 specials. There's also a slot barrier for 2 rainbow orbs, and if you use any chain multiplier boost at all, for 1 time, you're gonna like get a whole bunch of nasty stuff. So realistically, you don't want to use any like chain boundaries or anything like that. Otherwise, you are gonna have to deal with that. And I feel like the way they want you to get past this is with Ethan and using his EX, so that way you actually get the chain boost for this particular team. So that's kind of the vibes I'm getting right now. So for the team, this is what we're working with, and there are a few different options that you guys can bring if you guys are missing some of these supports, because we are using some pretty illustrious supports here, but like I said, we do have some options to sort of bypass and sort of get around things if we need to. So on turn 2, there is that chain lock that we do need to get rid of, and that's where the Mars special is going to come in clutch. Using the Mars special there is just going to basically remove the 10 turns of that. If you can't find Mars, like other characters that might work, it's something like Lucci and Kaku. You could probably find a way to bring them on the team. Or this Carousel as well also does it, but I think he only does it for like 5 turns. So that's where you're probably going to struggle a little bit. You could also try and do some stuff with like 3-turn chain locks, maybe like Izokiku, and using them turn 1. That's going to bypass it moving into turn 2, but obviously if you get the interrupt, then that's going to be a bit of a problem as well. But like I said, if you bring Mars as a friend captain, you can just remove it by 10 turns, and then you don't have to worry about it. After that, we can use the Blackbeard special. Blackbeard's going to give us a 2.75 chain lock that can go up to 35 times, as long as we hit 2 perfects moving into that final stage. So the easiest thing to do here is, because there is a good barrier, is hit a perfect with 1 unit, hit your 3 goods, and then hit your perfect with whoever's hitting the hardest. Now, Nami Karina as the captain obviously buffs everyone, which is great. So Marcus is the one that's going to be doing most of the damage. So as long as you just hit a perfect before the barriers go through, so you can say you hit a perfect with, or hit with, for example, just I got to make sure these characters don't have barrier pen. So for example, hit with Kizaru first, hit a perfect, and then you could go like a good tap with Nami Karina. You could go a good tap with Blackbeard, and then because Marcus has barrier pen, you could hit a perfect with Marcus, and then that way you're going to kill very easily. Or you could hit a perfect with Luffy, and then move into Marcus and try and hit like that. Like whichever way like works for you guys. Like that's going to be absolutely fine. Now remember, there is an attack down if you are below a certain if you're below a certain chain. But the upside to this particular team, I believe I started with the right character. Yeah, we have 1 of every type on the team. So when you use the Marcus special, you actually get a chain lock and a full body tandem mobs as well. To remove the defense up, we have Nami Karina with the Brook support. Nami Karina moves 6 turns of defense up, I want to say. Maybe it's 7. Yeah, 6 turns. Yeah, 6 turns of defense up, which is then obviously going to become 8 with the Brook support. You only need 7, so you can bypass it that way. And then finally, we can, if you want to, just throw in the Kizaru special there to get a chain boost, which is going to allow you to just easily bypass that. Because remember, when you get to the final stage, you can only use 2 specials, which can be a little bit problematic for your damage output. But the idea of this particular team when you move into the final stage is you only have the Luffy and the Carrot Wanda special left. So like that's literally it. So the idea here is we're going to super swap with Carrot Wanda. I believe they buff No, they actually don't. They don't buff Driven, but that's okay. We still have good old Luffers there, being a powerhouse character, so he's going to hit really, really hard anyway. And he's a strength character, so Mars is still going to be buffing him. Now, the idea of Carrot Wonder is we can super swap with them, get an attack boost, use their special, and we get an orb buff. And then we have the carryover of the chain lock from Blackbeard. We have a little chain boost there with Zoro. And then we have like a Driven color affinity on Blackbeard with the Moria support. So the Brûlé support there, it can come in handy just to remove the block orbs, but the big thing is you do want to bypass rainbow orbs. Now, rainbow orb, there isn't a rainbow orb barrier on the final stage. If you can get Marcus to use his EX, then you are going to be able to remove this by one turn, but otherwise you're going to need to like tap with recovery orbs. Now, the only other way to do it besides the Shirahoshi support, as you can see on Luffy there, is again to get the overheal buff. So then that way you can bypass. So you can bypass the barrier, or you can just bring someone that has a support that has a barrier removal. And looking at the options, you don't really have too much. Like you could bring Sanji, you have the free-to-play Sanji, you could just run him over something like Carrot Wonder, you could run Stussy over Carrot Wonder. If you have the Giants, you could use them, or you could definitely use something like Nami Karina on the final stage and use the Nami variant to then remove the barrier instead of using Karina to remove the defense up. And that way you just bring another character to remove defense up and still run Nami Karina that way. But if you do that, obviously you lose your Dex character, so you are going to want to be bringing something like Blackbeard as your captain, so you have a Driven or a Powerhouse captain, and then you can change the team makeup a little bit. And then you could just do something like this, I guess, and then you'd have Luffy as your captain, and he's the Powerhouse unit, so that way you get the chain lock of Blackbeard on turn 2, and then you can carry that into the final stage. Hina's removing the defense up, you have the Brook support to help out, Brûlé is giving you full board orbs, and this way you don't even really have to worry about the barrier at all, to be honest, because that way you're just removing it with the Karina the Nami variation of the special. Plus, you're actually getting an attack boost now, which is always quite nice for that final stage as well. And you don't have to worry about, then you don't have to worry about Mars not hitting hard, because you're actually getting that attack boost going into Mars, as well as Luffy being a nice captain for that, as well as getting the color affinity buff too. So this actually might just be like a better version, to be honest, and that way you don't have to worry about too many illustrious supports. Another thing to note too is like Kizaru is just completely replaceable in this team. Like you don't actually really need him too much. He's just like here as a space holder. So if you're struggling to find something like Mars, you could definitely run this particular comp and then use Lucci and Kaku or something like that to remove the chain lock that you get inflicted with on turn 2. Also, if you have this Sanji, you could easily just run this Sanji on the team over something like Hina. He's also removing, I believe, 6 turns of defense up. He's another Straw Hat character, so when you have Nami Karina and you have this Sanji, you can then use this Luffy to actually give the super type, which gives a strength territory, which is actually really, really strong. So if you have that particular makeup, that team is going to work better. But even still, I still think running something like this is going to be quite nice. And again, if you don't want like points and you need more damage, literally just replace Kizaru with something like, I don't know, the free-to-play Sai Usopp, who's a 1.2 booster who can give you 3 turns of a chain boost to carry into the final stage too. So like I said, there's going to be options there, and I think this particular makeup's probably a little bit better now that I've sort of crunched the numbers. And I just think that this is going to work better for most people. So, sorry for the rambling, sorry for the chop and change, but hopefully it gives you guys some ideas, and that's the whole purpose of this video anyway. Moving on to the intrusion fight now. The intrusion fight obviously is a bit of a doozy, and for this one we are using a Topman Warcry for Warcry. I hate that. It's Warcry the War guy. We're using Topman as our friend captain, mainly because he has the ability to remove bind. Now, there's a whole bunch of bind here. It's very frustrating, and unless you bring a bind captain, like maybe like Ethan, you are going to struggle to get around it, but at the same time, it's not too big of a problem because you can easily just run a friend captain Warcry. Now, to get around the rest of the stuff on turn 1, the cooldowns are for strikers, driven, and powerhouse units. Battle 2, you lose 70% of your HP. Very annoying. 70% HP cut, 2 turns special reverse. You get your right column binded, and then you also have to deal with unfavorable slots, and then basically everything's just turned to unfavorable. So like for 5 turns, all orbs will be treated as unfavorable, and then you also get a full board unfavorable slots too, which is kind of a problem. On defeat, you take 120,000 damage, and then on the final stage, you come up against Luffy, who's weak to driven. He gives your left column now bind, 6 turns of burn, full immunity, normal attacks only. There's a territory, and then there's also threshold. Now, if you do any damage reduction, threshold removal, anything like that, you are going to have to deal with a whole bunch of nasty stuff like damage null, 3 turns of blow away, potential effects blown away, only for 1 time, but at the same time, like, it's all that's needed. Then on defeat, you have to deal with another 150,000 damage. So the team I put together looks a little bit like this, and I'm not exactly, like, super sold on the team whatsoever, but at the same time, hoping that it's going to, going to work. Now, with this team, like I said, we do need to bring a Walkery as the frame captain, because he can remove bind as like with his special. But at the same time, like, if you can't find Walkery, you could easily just run another like one of these Blackbeards. Like, Blackbeard's definitely going to help out quite a lot. But like with all of the bind, I think is it 10 turns on turn 2? Like, it's just so much. Yeah, 10 turns of right column bind, which will go down to 7, obviously, and then you can just bring, like I said, if you bring this Blackbeard as a frame captain, he is going to help out as well, so just be mindful of that too. But we're using him on our team as well, so, like, yeah, that'll definitely work. But the idea of this particular team build, on turn 2, you want to super swap, I believe? No, just regular swap. Is it regular swap? I don't think Nami Karina get their super swap, right? Yeah, no, so Nami Karina just get their regular swap, which allows you to get G-Orbs on the adjacent characters. The idea of getting the G-Orbs is because you get that unfavorable orb situation, you realistically want to use G-Orbs to just do most of your damage. So, I need to do that. So the idea here is use the swap of Nami Karina, you're going to get base stats there, use their special to give the 2 turns of cooldown, and that way you get a threshold for yourself to tank that, what is it, 120,000 initially. Yeah, so you get this 120,000. The threshold will help you tank that because you have that percent damage, and then you can use Kizaru to actually give yourself a chain boost as well as a 30% heal, which is really, really nice. So it says if you're below 50% HP, you actually get a bunch of this whole stuff. You also get locking for your slots, which is going to allow you to keep your G-Orbs, and then you also get chain boost and all that fun stuff. And then after that, you heal 30% of the crew's maximum HP. So it's going to put you in a nice threshold to help you tank that final death shot, and we're not really relying on his special too much on the final stage anyway. So the idea here is then that you're going to use the Walkery special. It's going to give you color affinity. Unfortunately, we don't have one of every type on this team. Actually, we do. Yes, we do. We have one of every type, so we get the increased damage taken. And then you can basically just kill by tapping with Walkery. When we move into the final stage, you're still going to have a G-Orb on your Kizaru and on your Walkery, and then the Mr. 3 support is going to trigger to give you 3 turns of damage reduction, which is going to help allow you to tank this shot right here, the 150,000, because that threshold from Nami Karina is going to allow you to just tank so nicely. And with Walkery as a captain, you're going to have so much HP because you have 4 powerhouse characters on this particular team, which is going to work really, really nicely. Plus, I believe when you switch into Nami Karina, I think he buffs quick as well, so Nami Karina are going to like increase your HP there as well. So the only character that's missing here is Usopp, and like that's just absolutely completely fine. So it's going to work out quite nicely. On the final stage, Ace is going to proc as well to remove 3 turns of bind, so that way you can use the Blackbeard special, because I believe it's 11 turns of bind, which is very, very annoying. Yeah, it's 11 turns of left column bind, so you need to get around 8 turns, which is just so frustrating. But again, you can use... Ace isn't going to work. A little bit annoying, but we can pivot to just use a ship that removes 1 extra turn of bind removal. You have stuff like the Merry Go that's going to remove 1 turn. You have the 1000 Sunny Coated Vessel that's going to remove 2 turns. You also have the Tesoro ship that's also going to remove 1 turn. A lot of these ships, a lot of people should have maxed out because they are very, very powerful. Merry Go obviously is a big one too. Like, a lot of people max that out as an early ship because you get the 1 turn of bind and turn of despair removal. Very annoying that they decided to just go, hey, let's throw on 11 turns of bind for you, so that way you have to use the Topman special, but you'll need your own Topman. So, very, very frustrating, but hey, this is still going to work, and honestly, this will just do more damage, which is quite nice. But at the same time, it's just a little bit annoying that we're basically in this position anyway. So, yes, so we're going to use Blackbeard on this turn to remove 7 turns of bind. He has the damage reduction support of Mr. 3. We now have the support of Shanks on Luffy to give color affinity to our quick characters, which mainly is going to be Topman. And then to remove the threshold, we have a combination of the Vivi support, the Zora support, and the Usopp special. Now, Usopp can apply a set target, but it's only for shooters and Dex characters. So, no, it's for Dex, shooter, free spirit. I don't know why that was so hard to comprehend. But then you can also increase the orb effects. Now, the downside to this team is we don't actually have an orb effect boost on the final stage. We have a cheeky support of Roger and Odin to give an attack boost to our quick and slasher characters. So Nami, Karina, and Topman will be hitting hard, and then the support of Shanks is also going to help us hit hard. To bypass the territory as well, something I forgot to mention is that we are using the super type of Luffy. He's going to apply a strength territory, so that way we can bypass that. And from there, we've just wham bam, thank you, man. We should be pretty good to go. So that's the Intrusion fight team. Like I said, the Intrusion and the final boss teams, they're always pretty spicy when it comes to this type of stuff. Remember here, if you can't find a Walkery, you can use a Blackbeard as your captain. Friend captain, and then over here, if you can't find a Mars, you could run Lucci and Kaku. If you want to run Lucci and Kaku on your team, if you have Lucci and Kaku, and then you can just replace your captain maybe with someone else that can remove defense up. Maybe you can find like a friend captain Hina, maybe run a friend captain Nami Karina. That's probably going to be a little bit easier for most players to do. I think that's probably going to be the way if you have Luchikaku. If you don't have Luchikaku, then you're going to be absolutely stuck in the mud, which is kind of annoying. But let me know what you guys think of the teams. If you have any improvements or if I missed anything, please let me know in the comment section below. While you're down there, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. Most importantly, though, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.